After all the snowstorms and the power issues and everything in Texas, week 2 of the CDL was cut and merged with week 3 to create Super Week. We didn't want to let all of those games go without giving a big analysis. From a viewing point, it is absolutely fantastic to see there be so many games of Call of Duty during a week. You get to see so much happen, and the way that this system works, all the games of this week will decide whose seeds were for the major. So some very exciting stuff, some huge things on the line, and this game between the Dallas Empire and Los Angeles Thieves could be one of the key battles throughout the entire week. It's the final game, and it will likely decide who takes top spot in the group. Coming into the start of Super Week, Dallas have beaten the Seattle Surge but lost to the Minnesota Rokkr in a shock upset. Meanwhile, the Los Angeles Thieves beat the Minnesota Rokkr as well as the New York Subliners. Both teams would be expected to win both of their games, and therefore it would very much come down to this game on Sunday to decide who takes top spot if that scenario does indeed unfold as we are predicting. To start off the analysis between the two squads, then we have got the AR battle between Slasher and Crimsix. Now, Crimsix is the most decorated Call of Duty player of all time, and for anyone who wants to settle the greatest player of all time discussion, they can very easily point towards Crim. Slasher, though, is not a man without pedigree and has won multiple championships and been one of the best ARs over the last 5 years. A very consistent player, very talented, and last year was an unexpected down year for him. Looking at their individual KDs then and their statistical performances coming into this game and into this week, you do have Crimsix with the advantage on the hard point as well as the search and destroy. However, in control, it is Slasher who has the advantage there. Moving into the flex roles then, you've got Kenny for the Los Angeles Thieves and then Illey on the Dallas Empire. It's kind of difficult to line these two up because although they both play the flex role, they both play it in relatively different ways. I think Kenny's much more of a superstar flex, makes the big plays, whereas Illey's much more of a selfless flex. He is exactly what is needed in his team. Anyway, we still have to compare them somehow, and looking at them statistically, you would say that Illey has the hard point advantage, but it is Kenny who looks very strong in both search and destroy and control here. Finally then, between the lineups, and it is the sub battles, and on the LA Thieves you've got Temp and TJHaLy, and then on Dallas you have got Huke and Shotzzy, last year's regular season MVP. Across all three modes, statistically, you would have to favor Huke and Shotzzy, especially considering that Huke is on a phenomenal 1.79 KD across hardpoint and honestly looks to be one of the best players so far this season. The man's slaying power is absolutely unmatched, and I will be very, very impressed if the LA Thieves sub-duo can keep up with this team. If you were to try and break those rosters down even further and pick out a star player between each one, a player that might swing the balance in his team's favor, then for the Dallas Empire, you're probably looking at Huke. He does have that ridiculous 1.79 hardpoint KD, the best out of anyone in the league, and he also squeezes into the top 10 for KD in control. Meanwhile, for the LA Thieves, you're probably going to look at Kenny. He's the second best player in search and destroy right now, and he does also get into the top 10 when it comes to hardpoint. It's difficult to see how this one will line up because obviously Kenny's a flex player, Huke an SMG, so it's not necessarily a straight up duel there. However, one thing's for certain, and that is both of these players are making some incredibly big and flashy plays and look very, very good going into the season. But if Huke keeps it up, I do struggle to see anyone being able to match that kind of slaying prowess in the hard points. However, when it comes to the search and destroys and the controls, you could say that the LA Thieves do have a man in their corner here, with Kenny looking a very, very good player this early on in the season. Heading into then the play analysis, where we break down each team and how they work well and what they can do to go on to win this series. Now, with the Dallas Empire, we're going to cast ourselves back to the Crossroads Strike game that they played against Seattle, that hardpoint map, and we're going to look specifically at the ZO trio, the Huke, Illey, and Shotzzy combination, and the ridiculous chemistry and ability that they have in order to be a very formidable force across the map at all times. Coming into this scenario then, and you have Seattle in control of P4. Now, this hill is known as relatively unbreakable. you can get a really good defensive setup here, and statistics show us that if you do want to win this map, you do want to get a lot of points on this hill, because it's not only difficult to break and be broken through, but also you can stop the opponent getting themselves anywhere near it at any point to contest. So a really good one to get control of. The way Dallas play this is Crim keeps pressure up through that P1 street area in order to suggest that there's going to be a gunfight coming that side. However, what the Zeo combo do is they head to cliff, they all wait for each other, they take their time, and then at the same time they spring up over the top of the hill and win the gunfight that is needed to break in through the back rock. They're immediately aggressive, swarm the hill and take it, but it's not just here that we want to stop. Upon noticing that they have the hill completely in control, they all immediately disperse in order to push Seattle back. When Huke realizes that Seattle are making a last attempt to push for scrap time on this hill, he then heads down the side of the map and flies at the P2 spawns, the next bit that is very important for this. It gives you a great area set up for P1 and P2. Huke recognizes this and goes and makes himself a nuisance over there. But in order to understand the chemistry that these boys have and the way in which they like to work together is to watch the movement of Shotzzy from this point on. Now, Huke does a great job of getting kills and creating a nuisance of himself around that crane area. He kills one and then is immediately set upon by a second player from Seattle. Shotzzy decides to go straight from P4 all the way through the map and straight beelines for Huke. He doesn't bother with anything else on the map at all. He doesn't care about P1, he doesn't care about power positions or control, absolutely nothing. All he cares about is getting to his teammate and supporting him, and he does this very effectively, coming through and securing that backside. It's a fantastic play from them, and it's not just what we can see on the minimap alone that shows how well Dallas play, but when you listen to their comms afterwards, they're very much about take our time, make things happen together, make sure that we've got everything set up correctly. The way in which they go and play is very much leaning on one another, which makes them such a formidable team because they do have individual prowess galore. These three young guns are incredibly talented. However, they know that just being individual greats is not enough, and even though they're extremely young, they show that maturity to understand that this is the best team that wins championships, not just the best player.
Take our time on this. Yo, let's go up. Let's go up.
Yeah.
In fire? Sam, absolute 18. Probably push out mid lane.
What's this guy going?
I don't know.
He's up there.
Yo, one still on 18.
Yeah. I got him.
Sam on like 18. There's two. One.
Close, guy.
Yeah, I spawned deep, so.
I'm making a scrappy.
Yeah.
Time dead.
Nice, good job.
I'm literally making a scrappy.
Yeah. I'm watching top cat.
No, Loony got me.
Sam, absolute top. And
Push
bottom.
P1.
I agree.
Tires.
I'm flooding. Yo, you can go up.
Remember me bigger.
Yo, already here.
I'm coming.
Got one.
That's more. Curry.
Pierce, absolute.
Top cat dead. I need it ready.
Curry, should be able to come. Curry.
Vice.
Prestinni, one shot. I got two.
Shift order, you're the best.
I already bring your color if you wanna.
Okay.
I've all up.
It's in the corner. That's
Yeah, nothing top cat.
You need me? Can you pick it?
Pierce in.
The number.
One shot mid tank, one shot P1. Nice.
What's your color?
There's probably
I want
another
deep up, weak. Yo, pop up.
Moving over to the Los Angeles Thieves then, and this was actually a very difficult team to analyze and break down in many ways, because even though they seem to be doing very, very well, they're not actually doing anything special, and I mean that as a compliment. I think a lot of people have underestimated that this team have a ridiculous amount of experience between them. They're not necessarily the seasoned veterans of Clayster and Crim, but they have been around for a long time and do have a lot of tournament wins between them. And here we've found a play that kind of comes down as just doing the fundamentals correctly, doing the bits that you learn from taking part at this high level for so long. Coming into this scenario then, and it is Garrison Hardpoint, LA Thieves against the Minnesota Rokkr. Now, the LA Thieves have had a great first two hills, built themselves up a really good lead. However, it is the Minnesota Rokkr who have rotated early into that P3 control, and this is known as a very difficult hill to get through, to get into if the opponent has a good setup. And Minnesota do a very good job of getting themselves ready here. LA Thieves, what they do is they understand that they're not going to be able to get through and put real pressure onto the hill until they clear out that bottom green trash tank area. They make sure that that area is completely clear before they then set up for their wave of attack. During all of this, Slasher ends up getting killed, and actually where he ends up spawning is huge here because he's put into the back artillery corner because the amount of pressure LA Thieves have up the map. He is given this very lucky spawn, but instead of just immediately running out of it, he instead bides his time and waits, calls this out to his teammates, and lets his teammates push up the map into a position where they would be ready to take on a gunfight. Slasher then maneuvers into back garage where no one has seen him cross and then picks up a kill in the back of the map. This kill then triggers his teammates to immediately act. They come in, get the trades, clean up the remaining kills, and they secure the hill. It is these fundamentals of understanding how to best support your teammate that make LA Thieves such a good and well-rounded team. One of those teams that I think is going to be good throughout the majority of the season. I don't see too many upsets against them, and I do think that they are going to continue to grow as a side the deeper into the year they go. You can see the quality that persists in the team when we cut to the communications, and we can see just how accurate and precise they are. They're giving exact locations of enemy players, the exact reasons they want things done, but it's very quick and sharp and makes things happen that through a normal team you just aren't going to get.
I spawned out. I can help you take it. Give me a second. I'll get it. One guy hill.
I push out caution here.
You can be left on this.
One more.
Deep narrow.
Yo, one's going deep on pots. In top green, major.
Gotta come major.
Top green.
And one's gonna be on new.
One out P2.
One's on new.
Green. Nice. On new green. Now weak, green.
I have right.
He's going up P2 right now. He's in the right corner.
Oh, one shot.
Fight for the guy green.
Don't do it.
Top green.
One shot.
Green.
That boss
Major was weak. I don't see him. He's nading me.
Working on bros.
You on me, bro.
I'm not trying.
You press me 2 down.
You.
One
Alright,
spot.
Catstairs. One shot catstairs. Literally bullet catstairs. Cannot be
Do
weaker.
it.
There's absolute in the mid in this mid corner right here. Can you nade it?
I got it.
Red catstairs.
Top green. One shot out.
Yeah, left side mid. I'm one shot.
Get kills.
We spawn on a pinch.
One shot.
That's it. I'm
Both of you
cat.
guys play right.
One shot mid.
Get kills with spawn bots.
I'm in top green.
One's Rose.
Top green. Left corner.
Nice.
And in right corner right here. In this corner. That's one shot.
Finally then, for this big pre-analysis is to talk about the win expectancies and make our own predictions. Now, when we took this game and ran it through the simulator, it gave us a 63% win favor to the Dallas Empire. And to be honest, my own prediction will be a 3-1 win to the Dallas Empire. I do think that this will be a very good game. I don't think that the Los Angeles Thieves will be upset by many teams throughout the year. However, as much as I see them as a very solid fundamental team, I just don't think that they have the firepower, the prowess, the aggression to take on and beat someone like the Dallas Empire. Those top-end teams possess what the LA Thieves have and have a little bit of extra in there as well. If I had to pick exact maps, I do think that the LA Thieves can take Dallas on the search and destroy. However, I just don't see the LA Thieves managing to take a respawn away, so I'd go with 2 hard points in favor of Dallas as well as the control, and then I would give the search and destroy to the LA Thieves. Anyway, guys, that is everything for this pre-analysis and this massive game that could have huge repercussions come the end of Season 1. If you enjoyed the video, please do leave a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it, and if you could hit subscribe, that would be amazing too. We're going to continue to evolve our analytical work throughout the year, and I really can't wait to show you guys what we have in store. We've got some big pieces ready for you next week. As always, if you have anything constructive to say, put it in the comment section below. Otherwise, guys, enjoy your Call of Duty. Take care.